John was a simple man. He lived in a small town where everyone knew each other. He worked in a factory from morning till evening. John was quiet. He never spoke much. But inside, he carried a deep pain that no one knew. Every day, John woke up before the sun. He made a cup of coffee and looked out of his window. The birds sang, the trees danced with the wind, but John felt nothing. His heart was heavy. It had been like this for many years. Many people thought John was happy because he never complained. He smiled when they asked how he was. But his smile was a mask. Behind it, John felt alone. He had no close friends. He had no family left. His wife had died 5 years ago. Since that day, his world had turned dark. John loved his wife more than anything. She was the light in his life. She always laughed and made him feel happy. When she got sick, John stayed by her side every day. He held her hand until the very end. When she passed away, something inside John broke. He never cried in front of others, but at night, when he was alone, he cried until he had no more tears left. At work, John did his job well. He never missed a day. His boss liked him because he was quiet and worked hard. But no one at the factory knew about John's pain. No one asked about his life. They just saw him as the quiet man who always showed up on time. On Sundays, John visited the grave of his wife. He brought flowers, even in the coldest winter. He sat by her grave for hours, talking softly to her, telling her about his week. He missed her so much. Sometimes, he wished he could join her. But he never told anyone this. He knew people wouldn't understand. John's house was small and empty. He had no pictures on the walls. His wife's things were still in the closet, untouched. He could not move them. It felt like if he did, he would lose the last piece of her. Every night, he sat in his chair, looking at the clock, waiting for time to pass. He had no one to call. No one to visit. The silence was loud, but he had learned to live with it. One day, a young boy from the neighborhood knocked on John's door. His football had gone into John's yard. John opened the door and smiled at the boy. He gave him the football, but something was different. For a moment, John saw himself in the boy's eyes, young, happy, full of life. The boy smiled and said, "Thank you, mister." Then he ran off, laughing. That night, John thought about the boy. He thought about his own life. He realized he had been living in the past for too long. The pain of losing his wife would never go away, but maybe, just maybe, he could find small moments of joy again. He could try to live, not just survive. The next morning, John did something he hadn't done in years. He went to the park and sat on a bench. He watched children play. He saw people walk their dogs. He felt the sun on his face. And for the first time in a long time, he felt a little lighter. The pain was still there, but it didn't feel so heavy. John knew his life would never be the same without his wife. But he also knew that he didn't have to carry his pain alone. Maybe, slowly, he could find a way to live again. And so, the quiet man with the silent pain took a small step toward healing. One day at a time.